What is up, everybody? Happy Saturday morning. Saturday, April something, 12th, I think. 3 Saturdays left. 3, count them, until we're fishing Walleye Fest. It is, it's cold and cruddy out right now. You know, it's spring. 42 degrees and raining in upstate New York. Not hiding her hair of the sunshine whatsoever. But the sun was shining in my world yesterday because I got the call from Krenzer Marine that my boat was done, and I ran out last night and grabbed it and brought it home. Not in the water yet. It doesn't have anything in it. I got to put all my stuff back in it and get it all ready to roll. Boy, I got to clean it too. Holy crap. But it just makes me feel better knowing that my boat's home, you know, and that I'm ready to go. Been a ton of brown trout action up on Lake Ontario. That in all the years that I chartered, spring brown trout fishing was my favorite. I mean, salmon is salmon, and I love to catch salmon out on the lake. You know, lake trout are cool, but for some reason that early spring, maybe it was because it was the first thing of the year, and after the boat had been in storage all winter long, I was so excited to get it back on the water. I had a 29 Penyan Predator fly bridge that I chartered off of when I had my own boat. I worked for damn near every captain between the big salmon, the little salmon, and the Oswego for my years when I mated for people. Started out with Captain Tony Buffa in 1995. The spring I got home, the spring after I got home from the military. But spring brown trout fishing was always one of my favorite things. And I know we've been talking about Walleye Fest every day, and I'll get into that in a few minutes, but fishing, and spring fishing for me always meant trout, certainly in April, because walleye wasn't open yet. And, you know, anybody can spring brown trout fish. You really don't need special equipment. There is special equipment you can get, but there were a lot of days, especially when I was running a drift boat, before I had my own big boat. I didn't have another power boat, you know, a smaller one, that I just went out and rode the shoreline with my drift boat with 3 rods out the front of the boat pulling them, you know, and I put a 10.5 foot noodle rod on both sides with spinning reels, and I'd put one down the middle, and so that my spread was, you know, 25 or 30 feet wide, and you'd put in those days, really, the even now, but the bait of choice was either a Smithwick floating rogue or a junior thunderstick. Put it out there, and you'd start getting. And I used to keep one tied on a stick just next to my oar lock. So as I was rowing, I would look down in the water next to my boat, my drift boat, and I could see how it wiggled, and that's how I did my speed. And man, we would crush them, you know. And I've said it forever. Brown trout aren't necessarily hard to catch once you find them. You know, but in the spring, in shallow, some days you got to cover a lot of water because your electronics. I mean, you know, forward-facing sonar. While you're trolling, you could be scanning out in front of you, looking for targets to drive towards. But in 10 foot of water or less, you know, they're not going to sit there while you drive the boat over them. So you're not really going to see side scan. Yes, you know, definitely. But by the time you see them on side scan, they're behind you, which, again, when you're trolling, so's your lures. But it's really just flatline trolling. And I used to run light line. You know, you'd run 6 and 8 pound test leaders off of whatever. Nowadays I run a braid down to a leader. In the old days I used to run straight mono. And your speed. Now, it's funny, nowadays we find that everything likes it a little faster than we might have thought, because in the old days, I say the old days, when I was chartering full-time, typical brown trout speed was 1.5 to 2.0, especially when the water was cold in the high 30s, low 40s. That I know friends of mine now that regularly troll for those spring browns 2.5 to 3.0, really hustling along. And honestly, those fish are apex predators, and there's no reason to think that they can't hightail it after something that they like. And I'm assuming theoretically that the train of thought is also that they think it's getting away and that you've triggered them into attacking. So maybe a fish that's a little neutral might go. But spring brown trout, again, when you find them, a lot of times it's chaos. I mean, I remember the old days of trolling through the bubble, where it was not uncommon with a 10 or 12 rod spread out to have as many as 8 rods going at once. I mean, 5s and 6s at a time, especially when we could fish the bubble in the old days before 9/11. But you can put small spoons on a flat line with either a keel sinker or a split shot. Get them fluttering a little bit. A regular diving stick bait gets down a couple 2-3 feet. And again, when you're in 10 foot of water or less, those fish can only look up, and that water, for the most part, in most of the lake nowadays, is gin clear. So it's not like they don't see it. And they could be laying with their belly in the sand, and they can see everything going on above them, no questions asked. So it's not like you have to be right down on bottom for them. It's not like you're down rigging for lake trout, which only live within the bottom 3 feet of the water column most of the time. Or it's not like kings that can, pre-spawn kings that'll get and lay right with their bellies in the sand, waiting to go in the Salmon River. It's not like that. And you spread them out and you start trolling. And I mean, anytime and in the spring now, we see a lot more Atlantic salmon out there. The state and in conjunction with the federal Fish and Wildlife have been stocking Atlantics in our lake in Ontario now for 25 years or more. And you really see more and more of them being caught every day. There's a 25-inch size limit on them. They got to be over 25 inches. And you're starting to see some bigger ones now. The last 2 falls that I was out with Captain Todd Sheltra guiding on Oak Orchard and some of the western tributaries, you see a lot of them out there in the creeks with the brown trout, because they're a fall spawner. Are they? Or Atlantic's a spring spawner? I think they're a fall spawner. Anyway, I'm saying all this because I got my boat back. I'm all excited, and there's 2 things I want to do between now and the Derby: is go do some brown trout fishing and go do some perch fishing. And I'm possibly thinking about doing a test derby in the app and we'll do a 1-day perch tournament or something. And instead of letting those fish go, we will keep them all, fillet them. We'll have a mass fillet party, and that's what we'll use for our fish fry, the free fish fry on Sunday at the awards ceremony at Bruton Speedway for the Derby. And then that way too, we can test the inner workings of, I was thinking about just doing a nominal charge, $1, and we'll do just a 100% payout, because I just want to see and test all of the inner workings before we get to Derby time. And it'd be a fun way to get everybody out there. Maybe we'll do it the weekend before, that last weekend before the Derby, just to see how everything works. Doesn't have to be a ton of people. Could be 20 or 30 people, doesn't matter. through bragging rights and just so I can test everything. We've tested this stuff endlessly in a test environment, but when you go live with something like anything, there can always be a hiccup. A little McDonald's coffee on my way to work this morning. I'm finishing up this job in Chittenango. It's funny enough, a lot of you may or may not know Dave Johns. Dave, I don't know about owns, but runs the Walleye Wednesday trail on the Night of Lake. And when I started this job I'm on in Chittenango right now, I mean, I'm always looking at boats. I'm a boat nut, a boat nerd, whatever you want to call it. There's this big white Ranger multi-species boat right kitty corner to the house I'm working at. And I sent a picture to a friend of mine because I don't necessarily know everybody's boats, and some people do, and I sent a buddy of mine this picture. He goes, yeah, that's Dave Johns. So I got a hold of him on Facebook, and he's like, yep, that's our house, and yada yada. Well, anyway, today's probably my last day at Chittenango, and Dave got a hold of me yesterday and came over, and we had a conversation. We talked for almost an hour out in the back while I was trimming out this French door that I just installed, and what a great conversation. A heck of a nice guy. Learned a lot about him that I didn't know. He's a professional announcer for the Timber Sports series that Steele does, and he travels all over the country doing that, besides just his Walleye Wednesday duties. And we talked the ins and outs of how our derbies work and how our events work and the different formats and stuff. And I had a fantastic conversation with Dave. Very genuine man. We don't necessarily agree on every point of our events and how each other does it, but that's neither here nor there. We traded ideas. I said to my wife last night, you don't have to agree with each other lock, stock, and barrel to be friends, and to enjoy conversation and to hash out ideas and stuff like that. So that was a wonderful thing. And Dave helped me last year nailing down our rules, and having more experience than I do in the tournament world, so it was really, I had a nice conversation with Dave yesterday. I was thoroughly impressed. It was the longest conversation him and I had ever had, and it won't be the last. Good guy, and I look forward to getting out and hopefully going fishing with him and doing more stuff. Who knows, maybe together someday. You never know. But people like that in your life, again, if everybody had believed the same thing, right, lock, stock, and barrel, it would be a boring world, and so I embrace and I like to have people in my life that not just challenge me, but look at things differently than I do, because then it makes me consider other points of view and how that can interact, and then eventually I'll make up my own decisions regarding things. So really, really a great day yesterday. Got my new glasses so I can actually see now. Walmart did a great job in only about 5 days. I was really impressed with them. I went to the one in Cicero there. Went and got my boat, had a fun conversation yesterday, get ready to finish up this job. Get paid, so that's all good things. All good things. On the Walleye Fest front, ticket sales are moving along. I always get anxious, terrible anxious when I talk about ticket sales. We're in the low. We're at 100 and something. I'd like to have that. I'd like to clear that 1,000 mark today. so I know where we're at and where we're going. You know, that 1,000 is a line in the sand, and that's our first primary goal, is to reach 1,000. And if you're already signed up, not only thank you, but I'm going to ask a favor of you, like I did last year. Share the Derby information with on your social media feed. Any platform you're on, you know, anybody can get in. I verified identifications this morning in the office. We had our first customer from Ohio. I don't know that, at least that's where his driver's license was from. I don't know if he lives here now or whatever, but we had our first person from Ohio come in. Sharing the stuff for Walleye Fest helps us all. It helps our sponsors. It helps our prize pool. It helps everything. And so if you're in it, it behooves you to share it with everybody else, because the more the merrier, and we need more. And so I've got TV ads running starting next week. We have our press release going out. I'm hoping to do something with Channel 9 News. That's in the works. We had an email blast go out last night. I'm doing those things on my end, but organically, virally, the idea that everybody starts shooting it out there into the interweb is really what helps, and it gets people's attention. And when it's coming from somebody they know, it's even more trusted. And if you're already signed up for the Derby, boy, your social media post should be simple. Hey, I'm super excited. I'm in this Derby. It's going to be great. Join me. You know, because then it's not only word of mouth, but it's somebody they know who's doing it or has done it. And that to me is the best advertising you could get. Paid advertising and all over the place is great. It helps spread the word. But for me, in all of the business that I do, all of these sponsors that you see on the Walleye Fest pages, all 25 of them from Sponsor Bingo, the vast majority of them I already knew personally, or I had a personal somebody I knew introduced me to them and set up the conversation. And I believe in that wholeheartedly. You know, I'm a trader. I'm drinking McDonald's coffee this morning. I had been in talks with Paul DeLima. Not that I'm endorsing McDonald's over Paul DeLima, because at home, that's all I drink is Paul DeLima coffee. And for everybody that fishes the east or the west end, and I don't know how far that smell gets to the east end, but when they're roasting coffee at Paul DeLima and Cicero, and you smell it out on the lake, oh my God, it's the best smell in the world. It really is. Oh, I love it, and it's something that's unique to our lake because they're right there. You know, I've been in talks with them about being a sponsor that still may come through. One of our anglers works there, you know, so he's the one that set that up for me 2 years ago and opened the door for that conversation. So personal endorsements, in my opinion, are worth their weight in gold. And if you've loved what we've done the first couple years, and you're already signed up, please tell your social media feed, tell your friends, tell your family. You know, make it a real event that everybody looks forward to every year. And with the app now, we're going to have more to come. There's going to be more than just one big derby a year. But we'll talk about that after our big derby, so, you know, in May. But, all right, I'm getting ready to pull into the job this morning. It's been 20 minutes. I love you guys. I thank you for all your support and encouragement in all of this and everything that I've done here. And I really, truly am grateful for each and every one of you. Keep your tip up.